This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BW, babe. This is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
You got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans. That's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Welcome to the May 5th edition of One Nation Radio. It is Cinco de Mayo. James, what's going on, man?
Not too much, man. Just watched a lot of good wrestling over the week. It kind of rejuvenated me, so I'm in a good mood right now.
Yeah, man. I caught a couple things. I watched some of the big matches from Dontaku. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We checked out some STARDOM matches. They had a lot of the produce shows going on this week. We're going to talk about 2 of them today. Of course, there was last week where there was like Tessa Blanchard and Gail Kim. There's more of that, and there's news all around the world of wrestling. So we're going to be going all over from STARDOM to Impact to WWE to AEW to the fucking NWA today. So, covering it all, done it all, essentially. So, what's going on with you, though, man?
Not much, man. Just I on Friday I spent basically my entire Friday night just watching the entire Cinderella tournament from STARDOM, and then you hear news about for spoilers for people or whatever else. So I start making drop off right now, but yeah, like you end up getting spoiled on finding out that like Bea Presley is the new World of Stardom champion, which is kind of surprising because like I think the last Gaijin champion was Toni Storm, and I think before that it was probably Jazzy Gabert, like during 2011 or something like that. Like I think she's the 3rd Gaijin ever. So it was so that was interesting. And then I saw the match and I was like, I don't know about this because she's in Queen's Quest she was like she's like the number 4 person. And then all of a sudden, like you see the match, is like, okay, I get it. I get this. I understand this. This makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I've been working really hard on my music channel pretty much throughout like the last week. I've been in a real zone, making a bunch of like head nodders, as they say, and so make sure you guys are subscribed on there. It's like you can type in Rich Latta Music, you'll see it. It's like a blue and yellow logo. But yeah, man, lots of it. I when I wasn't, working on music and all that, wrestling has been alive as ever, essentially, with the stories and the news and all surrounding that. But we're gonna get to a thing we closed. I want to say 2 weeks ago. We were wondering about what the fuck was going on with Daniel Bryan, and he has been cleared, thankfully. The rumors are, and if you follow the history of WWE's reporting and how they handle injuries, this feels like it was a concussion, and they didn't want anyone to find out.
Yeah, there was speculation about that. I mean, maybe not. Who knows? But I honestly think they should completely get out of the game of disclosing injuries. It's like, what's the point? Just say person X injured and then don't disclose anything. So then you have to worry about speculation on what it is possible. Like, we are not. This isn't like the NFL or NBA or Major League Baseball where you disclose injuries so that like the gambling public can can gamble accordingly. Like, there is no reason for us to know. So I think it'd be best for them just to get out of that entire game altogether.
Yeah, I was very worried, but I'm glad that is all cleared up, and Daniel Bryan should be returning to TV this week. They definitely could use him. I don't know like who he picks up feuding with. Maybe they do a tag team with him and Rowan at the moment while he's outside the title picture. Maybe he gets added back in the title picture.
Maybe he's on Raw.
Yeah, we never know. Maybe he's on 205 Live. Maybe he's on NXT. Maybe he's in NXT UK. We never know with this company. So, yeah, man. I just wanted to make a quick mention. Daniel Bryan is cleared. Everybody can kind of just relax. Wrestlers will get hurt. They will get concussions. There's
no such thing as a safe cigarette.
Yeah. So, and it's been this long, like he had essentially a full year of clean health before he got any type of nick up or anything. So I can live with that.
I don't know. Cause look, I saw the match against Shelton Benjamin where they literally headbutted each other off of the top rope on accident. I saw a few other things in his matches. Like if I'm skeptical. Oh my God, I am a skeptic at believing that this is his first concussive blow, or even his first sub-concussive blow since coming back to wrestling. There's no way to protect yourself against the situation. Now, he's doing a lot of stuff to try to, I almost said prophylactically,
preventatively.
Yeah, yes. I almost said presentative. I can't speak right now. I'm sorry, but I just can't. I can't find words. I don't know what are those. But yeah, he's doing things on the front end to try to combat whatever might pop up. But something's gonna pop up eventually because it's pro wrestling.
Right. I have no transition here, so I'm just going to get into the next topic. So, up next, Jon Moxley in the video. We talked about it briefly when the news broke on One Nation Radio on Lords of Pain Tuesdays. I took my victory lap over people that said he was done, James specifically, and several other it's a work motherfuckers. But people just need to cut the shit at this point, James. This is absolutely... I don't know what they even get out of saying something like, well, man, that was a little too well produced. WWE must have paid for that. Do these people not know you can probably shoot something like that on your iPhone if you really wanted to?
I don't know, man. Video production is, not everybody's has an eye for that sort of thing. Pretty much the only thing you can kind of tell with when it comes to the quality of video production is when it's bad. So... or really cheap, so that's kind of why people probably jump to those conclusions or whatever else. And then these people
are contributing
hold on,
poison.
Can you not cut me off so I can finish my point? Damn,
my fault.
And there's also the fact that people that just flat out denial that anybody that's making $1 million a year will want to leave WWE due to unhappiness. They figure they put themselves in their position thinking I'm unhappy, and people say that money doesn't buy you happiness. Well, I would love to be a person that's hollow on the inside while also in the 1%. I understand that, but that's not,
it's over.
He's not built that way, and whatever. Now my question for this, as far as it's over, right? I believe that he is done with WWE for now. Do you think are you a person that believes he'll never come back? Because I think he's going to come back eventually.
I have no idea.
Okay.
All I know right now is that it's over. The Shield is finished. It's a wrap. Cut the shit. Stop coming on the app with these conspiracy theories that are absolutely insane. I know I dabble in the conspiracy theorism largely for jokes or whatever, but these people have convinced themselves that this is some elaborate long-term work that did not lead to Dean Ambrose having a WrestleMania match, that did not lead to more money being made for WWE, aside from, we were able to advertise the Shield for 3 more weeks as a house show act. nothing is happening. Like, I don't get it. Cut the shit. Stop it. Learn like what can be done outside of WWE as far as video production wise. Like, open your eyes, step out of your bubble, and then come holla at us.
I thought you were gonna use your common sense. Is this camera on me? That's stupid.
Fucking stupid asses. Like I largely have learned to disengage. Like when I feel like I'm seeing gaslighting motherfuckers, or I'm feeling like I'm seeing like FDSers with the bullshit, I just don't engage, right? Because they're not gonna learn or listen. So and they're also like, there's just a mental block there, I feel like. So what I do on this show right now, this is where I let them have it. So yeah, man, stop it, y'all. Like, quit, like Dean Ambrose did.
So for me, the stuff that I kind of like engage with, like I see all types of stuff in my time, like, 'cause I don't block people.
I don't either. I just put them on the mute list. So I ain't never got to see them.
Okay, I don't block or mute them either. I just like so whoever like retweets or likes whatever else, I also see it, and I have to, and I take it in just to see like, okay, what is the other side thinking or whatever, just cause, right? Just like what is the rhetoric, right? So for me, like I see stuff, I'm just like, okay, whatever. And then unless it's stuff that I see, honestly, I feel like people are trying to extend some nonsense that's like in their they are trying to come up with a good faith argument that is like inherently disingenuous. Like, so earlier today, I saw somebody say, and I'm just pulling it up right now. Somebody come up with a tweet that said, "I've seen lots of tweets claiming that WWE prefers the WWE women's titles, giving them to blonde white women. So I did some research. Of the 50 different women who have held WWF/WWE/Diva titles, 68% are not blonde white women, and 30 are not Caucasian. So this person hopped their ass on the internet to try to say that there is no issue with how WWE books their wrestlers, or hires their wrestlers, or promotes their wrestlers, or assigns wins and losses in the issue of the women's division in regards to race, while saying that 32% of the women that have ever held titles are blonde white women, but 30% of the women that aren't white.
That means Asian, that means black, that means Latina, that means whatever else you can be. Like,
and they really thought that they made this as a way to explain that like it's not an issue. And I thought to myself, all right, well, let me just Google the percentage of blonde white women in America. It's 5%. Then I was like, well, it is the World Wrestling Federation, so let's try the world. It's 2%. So what you're saying is that they are 16 times more likely than they should be to win the title. So it's like, these are your numbers. I'm not spinning your numbers against you. These are your own numbers, and this is what you came up with. So it's like, yikes. And like, honestly, I'm on Twitter, you know me, like, I'm mostly on there to just follow people and use it as a newspaper, to just read whatever and see commentary or whatever, to see whatever is up there. And then I saw that, I was like, okay, this one has my attention, because on his face, like, this is just so disingenuous.
Yeah, it's like, I just retweeted you, flame on them. I'm just sick of the bullshit. So, but yeah, moving on to something a little bit more happy. This is going to be the first ever segment about Stardom on this show, and I know James is boiling with anticipation and happiness. So, let's hear it.
Hold on, wait. Just on the front end, for people that have had to suffer through me basically spamming them online in thread messages. I did not ask Rich to do this. I did not say we need to have a segment on Stardom wrestling. This is just something that he saw some match. He said, let's talk about it, and he decided to go with this. I'm not producing the show. I didn't come up with the music. This is all his decision. He is the one that has the doll right now and is recording from his laptop. So this is on him. But I can tell you, I am overjoyed that we're doing this.
Well, I'm thinking about what's good for the show.
Oh.
Like I put out the video like with the samples where I talked about the difference between looping and chopping samples. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I want the end result. Like I don't care if you loop that shit. I don't care if you chop it in a million pieces. Figure it out. What sounds best? So with that being said, on to Rossi Ogawa's Stardom Pro Wrestling. And the deal with the women's championship numbers. So I watched two matches. You recommended the Hazuki and Starlight Kid match, and then of course we mentioned earlier the B Priestley and Kagetsu match, Battle of Queen's Quest and Odeyo Tai there. Yep. Where do you want to begin?
Well, let's so let's start with the Kagetsu and B Priestley match. Like, that match was, I already knew the result would happen. For me, like a lot of matches when I watch them, I already know the result. Like I'm already like, whenever I come out with my decision on what I think, like, or whenever I think of like how the quality of the match is always like, I always go like a notch or two below what it actually turns out to be from what I see other people's responses are of it generally. But this match was how do I say this? This was the best match I've ever seen Brie Priestley have. Now, keep in mind, I've only been watching Stardom since January, and she's in a lot of tags. She always holds her own and holds in the role very, very well. She's very competent. I didn't know she was as good. Just straight up.
Do you know how old she is, by any chance?
Brie Priestley?
Yeah.
I'm assuming she's somewhere in her early to mid 20s because of who she dates.
Yeah.
Just an assumption. Right. I can look it up real quick.
Yeah. But yeah, I watched the match and B Priestley it was like she's this tall, athletic, just ring general, like
23.
Yeah, she's incredible, and there's so much talent out there. In the world of not only pro wrestling or in women's wrestling, like in general, like I think I like Kagetsu off rip, like the whole Odeyo Tai with the dancing and all that. And this was like I saw her come out there in the all white. I believe all the Queen's Quest all the Odeyo Tai members were wearing white for this occasion. I can't recommend the match enough. Like I'd probably go like 4.25, 4.5, and it was just like. I don't know the storylines of everything and all that, but just if you want to hop in, and there's no bullshit. It's like the crowd into the match, even though it's quiet for a lot of it, right? You can't measure the sound for the engagement. I feel like there, and there's no commentators to get in the way. It's straightforward, it's easy, and they're going for it. And yeah.
And the thing that like. Watching the just to backtrack, just to watch when I watched the Cinderella tournament on Friday, like the thing that I appreciate about their matches in general, because I watched enough of it, like they're very low on is very tuned to mat wrestling, chain wrestling, rope running, strikes. And then your finisher, and it's very simple and straightforward. And then they also like one thing I like is the fact in their psychology is they don't sit in rest holds. Like if they're going to put you on the mat and to go to submission, it's a submission that you believe could end the match. It's not just I slap on a rear chin lock and just sit there. Yeah. Like it is. For example, in the and we'll get to it. The match in the high speed match, like Hazuki puts or hits. Starlight hit with a gigantic, huge backbreaker, and then she slaps on his bully choke and then leans back on it, almost like similar to the captain's hook from Brian Kendrick, except she's rearing back on it because she just injured her back. And you look at all the tape that was on Kagetsu's neck during this title match, and like she has a bad neck, and B is just constantly targeting neck. Like she drops kicks to the back of the neck, she drops elbows to the back of the neck when she has her in like a has both her arms clasped between her legs and whatever else. And she just basically targeted her back over and over and over. And the thing with Kagetsu is because she's my first, in the way similar way when I talked to you about like when I first watched New Japan, unless I have like a fondness for like Okada, Tanahashi, Nakamura, Ibushi, Kushida, is that like these were like the people that were at the top of the card when I started watching. I have a fondness for them, and like these were like the guys. So for Kagetsu, I've seen her in title defenses where there was like someone like Jungle Kiona, or someone like she even gave Hazuki a title shot, and she always was a person that took your best shot, and then when you like she was on the ropes, she hits you with the mist,
yes,
and then she hits you with the mist, and she hits her 450 splash, and you're done. When she kicked out, I was like, oh, this is okay. I get it now. Like I get it. Like the game plan was B was going to isolate her neck because she sees all the tape on her neck. And she was on the ropes, had her reeling, and then ref bump, spit the miss. What is it? The fire carry slam.
The ocean
deal.
Joint. I believe she's renamed it. I don't know. I don't recall what she renamed it to, but it's the old Manami Toyota finish.
Oh no, I'm not. Yeah, but I'm talking about Kagetsu. Kagetsu's whole thing was,
okay.
I'm on the ropes again. Rope bump or ref bump, split the miss. Put you in the fireman's carry, drop you, and then hit my 450 splash and get you out of there. But she kicked out, and then she goes for it again. Like, all right, well, I'm just gonna hit it again. And then she gets up there, and then B climbs up behind her. They fight on top turnbuckle. Then B basically overpowers her with strikes to the back of her head on the neck, and then she ends up doing that that drop, that double stomp, and then she picks her up and hits her with her that cyclone finisher, and it was over. It was like great match. And I get it, and in the way it was, most of the match was kind of surprising because throughout the match she was literally beating the hell out of Kagetsu. Kagetsu was not someone that gets her ass whooped often.
Yeah, I saw it like in the early stages of the match. I was like, wow. So I know Kagetsu's kind of like the heel or whatever, but she's like smaller. She's getting sympathy, and B was just beating her ass like for a lot of the match. But yeah, B Priestley's the new champion with the red belt in Stardom, and she cut an interesting promo where she said she is moving to Japan in June. A lot of people think she's going to AEW. I believe she is announced for July in AEW. But she's got like her whole thing now. She's calling herself the top gaijin. It's on a shirt. I'm considering purchasing it.
It's on her kick pass too.
Yes, and I love stuff like that. And where she ends up, I feel like she'll be in Stardom for a little bit, like at least, because I mean her advertised match in AEW isn't until July 13th, and then I would assume the television would start sometime in the fall, so she's got plenty of time to spend like the summer there. Yeah.
And also, given who we think is all going to be on AEW, like she only has to fly in from time to time. She doesn't have to come in and, spend, multiple weeks here or all that sort of thing. And who knows how long her full-time run is with Stardom, but like you look at what happened with the winner of the Cinderella tournament, you look at the winner of this match, and you look at also who got announced as being a full-time member in the Odio show or the next night with Miyagi. It's like all these people like have all basically like been people that were like doing tours or people that were more or less in everything but all in, and then all of a sudden like they get that tracksuit saying that like I am actually a full-time member now, and it's like, oh, that's why you want to stand and run a tournament. Oh, that's why you're now the new World of Stardom champion. Like, oh, like it's the Western, especially with B, like it's the Western expansion.
Oh man,
that's exactly what's going on. It's the Western expansion. Like I remember listening to a History of Stardom podcast from I believe it's Wrestling Omakase from Voice of Wrestling, and they mentioned that like the Cinderella tournament winner, this spoiler for anyone is listening, just drop out for a few seconds. Arisa Oshiki, she was at one point when she was younger, she came in around the same class as Mayu Iwatani, and she was clearly being positioned to be the person that got the spot that eventually Mayu, climbed to getting, but she left off to go do other stuff, and then she's back now.
You mean ring announcer Mayu Iwatani?
Oh, yes, I guess ring announcer Mayu Iwatani. Yes, it's funny how they keep her around like while she's trying to like rehab her knee or whatever else. It's funny how like they still like she still feels obligated, and they still like we're gonna find any way to put you on the show, put you on the camera, but yeah, like you look at it and you see like, okay, like they're in this Hannah, for example, when she got this, pretty much she went full time, and then literally weeks later they just like, all right, let's do this faction match where like there's 5 factions now and one must be dropped, and then it's exactly what they did. Like they cut Jan and they said, Jungle, you're now in this Tokyo Cyber Squad. Like it seems like what's happening is all these people are becoming full-time members, and like they're getting stuff because of it, because of the commitment level, and that's just cool.
Yeah. Then another match that you showed me was Hazuki, who is the high speed champion,
yes,
against Starlight Kid. This is my first time seeing Starlight Kid. Was she on the show? Did they bring her to New York?
No, she was not on the show because she is like 16 years old.
Yes, okay, that's why
they didn't bring minors, so like that's why Azumi wasn't there either.
I'm halfway convinced that we should invest in masks, James, like the Stardom style masks, and whenever hopefully they do a show next year in Tampa, we can be ready to participate.
Wow. If they come to Tampa, yeah, I hope they do.
Yeah. Now this was one of the great sub 5-minute matches of all time. Flat out, there's no other way to spin it. Constant action, no rest holds, a million pinning combinations. Savage Steamboat, eat your heart out. It was just like, yo, I can get with that. Like,
yeah. Like I saw it.
Rich Latta's Pro Wrestling.
Yes, like I saw it today, and I was like, wow. And then I was like, I'm just gonna tell Rich to watch it. I'm not even gonna say nothing. I'm not even gonna give him like, is it good? Is it great? I'm like, hey man, check this out. And then you were like, yeah, that's it. And I was like, yeah, I thought so too. Yeah, they told, and it's funny because we always say about like Kyrie saying, besides the fact she can carry anybody, but like she can do these short matches and they feel like full thought out, fleshed out stories that have a beginning, middle, end, and a winner. And this was all of that, except instead of it in 10 minutes, they did it in 4 minutes and like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, it was you think of like some of the recent great matches that went really short, like Goldberg Lesnar at WrestleMania 33. The Kushida in Hiromu match. What was that?
2 minutes. It was at the New Beginning 2017, I believe.
Yeah, like it's so hard to get a match like that level. I mean, and then there's also the it probably didn't go 5. It probably went longer than 5 minutes. So probably went 7 minutes or something like that. But like that Dijakovic and Keith Lee match from NXT about a month ago, or maybe 5-6 weeks ago. But it's very rare to find a match that have all of that in it. Like that much like creativity, imagination, good wrestling, striking, selling, psychology, pace, and all of that,
and the look of somebody being done, like at the end, like fuck, yeah. like you saw a definitive winner, like there was no mistaking what was going on there. You mentioned the Voice of Wrestling guys. I do want to give them a shout out for shout me out over on their show this week, and and Jeremy as well, and all the Social Suplex clique. So what's up, the Voice of Wrestling, Joe and Rich? Yeah, But another great match. I guess that'll wrap it up for our stardom portion. But looking forward to watching more and more and more. Like, if I can ever carve out more time, because it's like I'm watching 5 hours of WWE a week that I don't know if I can continue doing. So,
look, the best part is, like, you had, like, the two matches we just described, and then, like, you also had freaking Dontaku. And I didn't even watch all of Dontaku. I only saw the main event the first night between Dragon Lee and Ishimori. So, like, you were telling me that you think the Evil and the Ishii match was better, and you think that Okada and Sonata knocked it out of the park again. So it's like,
yes, it's like, yo, this is why I like watching wrestling. This is what it's supposed to feel like. Like, this is, this one is what makes you a fan and all that. But another match that made me feel like, damn, I'm watching great wrestling was Tessa Blanchard and Gail Kim at the Slammiversary show last week. We've seen the story a million times. Generation versus generation. The old greatest versus the new greatest. And this was poetic. This was incredible. This was like the show for me. I caught the last 3 matches, and the Brian Cage match couldn't touch this. The main event was different in its own like kind of way. Obviously, it was like a car crash or whatever. But as far as like, looking for pro wrestling, 1 versus 1, regular rules, like, Tessa Blanchard is moving high up the list right now because, I don't know the status of Sasha Banks right now, and Gail Kim looks like she needs to unretire, quit the bullshit, and do another run. So, like, did you catch this match, James?
Yeah, I saw it I saw it maybe like an hour or so ago. Yeah, like, how many women that aren't in WWE that are American are there any that are that you know of that are American wrestlers, female women wrestlers that aren't in WWE right now that are better than Tessa? Because I can't think of one.
Well, I don't think you can come out there and say better. You have to say like as good or less than. Like,
I'm just saying, like, is there somebody I'm just forgetting though? Because obviously there's a bunch of wrestlers out there, there's a bunch of talent out there. Like, am I forgetting anyone? Because
I don't want to forget nobody, but like Tessa's like, when you're talking about somebody that knows who they are as a wrestler, already at this age, they're overflowing with swag, even though she's prone to overacting sometimes, right? But she's so
not a good
fast.
promo either yet.
Yeah, she's not a good promo. She's so fast, she's so aggressive. It's like the heat turns up when Tessa Blanchard wrestles. Like you know what you're seeing.
Yeah, like her striking and her force and like her intensity are just like, I don't give a damn what happens in the situation. At some point in time, we have to get a Tessa versus Charlotte match, like at some big spot, some big pay-per-view, and let them go fucking nuts and burn the damn arena down, because those two look like they're perfectly built to wrestle each other as far as their intensity, their physicality in the ring, that they both bring to it in a way that, like, you don't really see that against their like modern contemporaries. Like, you go back and you watch that Ronda match with Charlotte at Survivor Series, and you see how like she like maws her face, and it's not even like she's trying to do it. It's almost like I'm finally in here with somebody that, like, I feel like I can't break if I try too hard, Charlotte. And like Tessa definitely feel like, you watch Tessa wrestle, like she definitely feels like she's on that same similar vein of like she's working with somebody and it looks great, but it feels almost like she's all like, you can imagine that she's also holding back at the same time that she would break one of these small women.
Yeah. And I think I was having a conversation with Jeremy yesterday, and I was saying that I like the fact that Tessa Blanchard's in Impact. Like, she can still go all around the world, because she can still build her brand like as being the person because, you look at who they're pushing in WWE, there might not be room for you right now. So wait it out, become as big as you can be, and eventually you're gonna jump to a higher level, whether it's AEW, whether it's like who already has the inroad with her because she was on All In, or the WWE eventually to do that match and that built-in handed to you on a silver platter storyline with Charlotte, and then bring back Tully and Rick, and then figure it all out and be like, some people thought Tully was better than Rick, that are out there. I don't look.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people, but I'm sure they're out there. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you're right about that, because there is something about being like, it's one thing to be one of the top people outside of one of the majors or whatever you want to call it. It's another thing to be like the number one, and not like the clear cut one. Is like, who's the one that immediately comes to mind when you talk about American indie wrestling amongst the women? For me, it's Tessa. Like, I mean, unless you want to say that like being an Impact means that she's not independent, I would say okay, sure. But like, I also saw her in Shimmer just a month ago, so like, she's not exclusively signed to them. So like, she can get around and do what she needs to do, and like, she can build that legend. Like, I don't know if and when she she comes up across a Nicole Savoy, or how many times they've done it in the past, but like at this point in stage in both their careers, I'd love to see that.
Right. Now we talk about like the talent of like Kagetsu,
Mercedes Martinez.
Yeah,
Jesus,
Mercedes,
can you imagine how good that match would be?
Yes. Yes, I could. Shouts out to Mercedes Martinez.
Just a damn tough ass match. Just like them beating the hell out, slapping the hell out of each other. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. All the talent.
I'm gonna have to go on Google and see if that exists.
I'm sure it does. It has to.
Yeah, it has to. You're right.
So
I want to see the 2019 though.
Yeah, correct. So all the talent we were talking about, like, made me start thinking about like WWE and how they position the women's wrestlers there, and to put it politely, the disparity from the bottom of the division to the top of the division, and how often they have to interact with each other. Mm-hmm. I think it's like it's an issue in WWE that they still aren't pushing them hard enough, and I think they are still lacking in talent in a lot of areas. Like, they have one like main roster teacher, and it's Natalya, right? And everyone can't wrestle her, right? There's no one.
Wait. So like, just hold on, just put it on pause. So you mean like teacher is like basically like almost like how we always say that Braun Strowman went to Mark Henry and Big Show and Kane big man camp,
right?
And so like basically Natty's the one that has to show everyone the ropes when they get there to the main roster. That's not like someone that's not like a person with like a bunch of matches in their past and worked like Shimmer, Stardom, Pro Wrestling Eve all around the world, that sort of thing. You mean?
Right. And,
okay.
And they,
gotcha.
it seems like they don't let Mickie James assume that role at all. Like, she's just old or whatever. And I'm glad you brought up the Strowman thing, because we were talking about Nia like in our group chat the other day, and I was like, well, Nia, she came out like, and we talked about it here on this show, like her and Strowman started at the same time. She jumped out faster, right? But there was less room for her to go because she was already kind of a finished product, because there's no one really for her to learn from, like on the main roster. Like, she's not going to get to go to Kane, Big Show, Mark Henry, Big Woman camp or whatever. Like, there's no one for her to learn from. Like, she's going to eventually have to be the teacher or whatever, which is like, do you want Nia Jax being the teacher? And the thing is, like, it's a combo of them not pushing the women hard enough, I think. They have the women to push. Choosing not to push them as hard as they could. And then, like, I think there's just, like, when we saw that Becky Lynch and Alicia Fox match last week, it's like, yo, Alicia Fox has never been like used as a main event person. She's never been used like even as like really a mid card. I know she's had the championship before, but that's a whole nother era we're talking about. There's no reason she should be having an 8-minute competitive match with Becky Lynch. I think part of the problem with a lot of the main event, and people are seeing it now, and then when Charlotte took that belt off of Asuka, is they raised those three up to just this level. This is just way the fuck up there that they have no choice now other than to like that's why Lacey Evans exists now. Like, they have to introduce somebody that doesn't have the stink on them or whatever to go fight one of these people, essentially. And I think everyone else is pretty much scarred, and you have to do massive amounts of rebuilding with them. You have to either put them in a position that it won't warrant. Like, it won't warrant them actually being a main eventer. Like, if they put that briefcase on Alexa Bliss and then Alexa Bliss is back in the title picture, she's not a main eventer. She's not a main event talent. She's not someone that's going to be able to carve out real estate on a WrestleMania card for something that matters. Like, and their problem is they only have a couple of women that matter, and it's completely 100% of their own doing, because they could literally, like, there's no reason you're pushing Baron Corbin harder than you push Sasha Banks over the last 2 years. There's no reason you're pushing Bobby Lashley harder than Asuka. There's no reason that you're pushing Drew McIntyre, who's like, I don't like, his resume just is day by day with him for me. There's no reason you're pushing him harder than Bayley. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's just like, I don't think they've done a good job.
They haven't, and the reason why is because they still look at the women's division like as an ancillary thing in a novelty act similar to that of tag team wrestling. And we all know that Vince is never giving a solitary fuck about the tag team division as far as something that you push and promote on par with, even the Intercontinental title or the U.S. title or the main, especially the main titles. Like, if the idea is that you have the women's divisions, tag divisions, and the men's singles divisions, and you are trying to push them all as things that are on equally recognizable and respectable footing, then you're going to need a mid card. And you say you want the mid, like you can say you joke, make all the jokes in the world about like there are no main eventers in the men's single division. They're all mid carders, and like you can make that joke if you want to, but there's a mid card division and is relatively deep between both brands. So then you look at the women's divisions, and you look at let's look at SmackDown for example. The two main eventers are Becky, Charlotte. Is there anybody else you want to say is a main eventer for the women or for the women's division on SmackDown?
No.
Okay. So then after that, for the mid card, right? Asuka was in it, but now she's in a tag. She's in a tag right now, and that's all. And that tag division also like is pulling people away because you could have Kyrie, you could have Asuka both be incredible mid carders in each division, but like you paired them off together and you put them with Paige. So
I wonder why.
That's your doing, right? So then after that, you have Bayley, who has to build her credibility back after what happened with the tag thing blowing up. I'm trying to think who else. Ember, who has never gotten a fair shake, but is one of the most talented women, and someone that, even though she's not a good promo, is someone that you can. That's someone that should be having Paige with her, not carrying in Asuka. All you gotta do is subtitle them and let them just cuss you out in Japanese. And we've seen that plenty of times with Asuka when she fires up and yells out at people.
We feel the energy.
The crowd is into that. They like the tone is universal. We don't need we don't need that. But that's what they decide to do. So those are consequences of decisions you make. So then you look at the Raw on the other end, right? You got Becky for now. I mean, because of the way she's been pushed historically, you have to say Alexa is a main eventer.
But in theory, she's not. Like, when put into practice, she's not.
You're right, because she just lost to Naomi. You're right. In theory, she isn't, but I'm saying, like, if there's somebody that you can say, all right, we do some rehab on this person for, let's say, a month, 6 weeks, we can get them back to a level where they think that person should be at the top of the women's division, or one of the people that, or a main event status should be one of them. I'm not saying anything about her skill, about how good she is or isn't, but she has something that most of these women do not have because of the push that and protection that she was given for years, and that is credibility. Like there's a reason why when she comes out, people give a half of a damn. As opposed to when Alicia Fox comes out and like people don't do anything until they like pop because she does something wacky as hell, or Mickie James because they remember Mickie James is a legend, but then after that it's like, all right, they're not gonna do nothing with her, so
why?
Okay,
yeah.
Shrug.
Right.
Like, and then Ember, you look at around Evolution time last year, she actually, like, the crowd was into her and they wanted to see it in a similar way to like right before Survivor Series, when people wanted to see Asuka, and that they never capitalized on that. And it just is what it is. And, you know, unfortunately, she also got hurt. So they also, like, whether or not they want to push her, you can't get pushed while you're hurt, unless you're like Austin, right? So, so they're not going to put you on TV unless they see you as a Roman Reigns type or a top star, where they want to keep tabs on you. Don't forget, like, this star is coming back. Don't you forget. Like, they treat it like when Kerry was going to come back for World Class. Like, look, when Roman had that hernia surgery, he was out for weeks and weeks, or actually a couple months or whatever else, right? They kept doing those via satellite check-ins with Michael Cole.
Those just were weird too.
All that was, don't worry, Dallas, Kerry's coming back. That's all that. That's all that was.
Oh man. Yeah. This is like an overall, like, kind of like larger conversation, and it's like, I don't want to see them separated onto their own show. It's like, I want to see the people that I know are stars get their run. Yeah. Like, get a run. Get some type of run. Like,
but the thing is, right?
And it's not like, yo, this person needs to hold the belt for this amount of time. Then this person, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, like, there's no reason a Baron Corbin has been pushed harder than half of these women. There's no answer for it.
Yeah, you're right. And, like, this is just a smaller part of the larger problem with WWE's booking, to where, like, you can't make heads or tails of what they're trying to do with who, and then once you try to make sense of what's going on next, or like who was going to get billed, all of a sudden something nonsensical happens, and you're like, well, wait, they weren't even trying to do that. They were just doing shit, or they changed their minds. So it's like, it causes you to care less and just like glaze over like they're and make you think like everybody's been ruined. Like, look what they're doing with Roman. They brought Roman back. They brought Roman back to have a 10-minute match with at WrestleMania with Drew McIntyre. Then they immediately have him. Feud with Shane. Who the fuck would want to see the top star feud with Shane?
And you know, not me. Like, so
like, and that's your top guy. And then if you want to say, well, no, that's not the top guy. The top guy is actually Lesnar, because Lesnar was a champion and star. They gave him go-away heat last year trying to get Roman Reigns over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is all stuff. And, like, you know, a lot of the fan base feels like the perception is now the reality, because they push the perception, you know, on screen. So now people like, well, look, they're also like, this, you know, affirms their confirmation bias. So now people like, yeah, it's definitely, he don't give a shit. He only tries when he wants to. And yeah, like, he's given us more of an effort to, you know, give a shit in title matches lately or whatever else. But that still don't kill the fact that, like, he shows his ass up. He does absolutely nothing. He bounces around as Heyman, like, comes up with the 40th contrived promo to try to get you to care about Brock Lesnar fighting somebody.
Yeah.
And then he has a match, and there's always it's never a normal match where someone just wins, someone loses. It's always someone either gets squashed, there's something screwy with the finish. It's always something, or he busts somebody's head open, right, to make you think that he shot on somebody, and then he'll fucking hit you with his fake wrestling move, and you're like, well, wait, what are you even trying to accomplish here?
Which one is it?
So yeah, so like, so my point is, like, if you can screw up with your top guys, then like everything below that also is going to struggle and feel like even less meaningful. So, like, when we talk about how, you know, they can't do that with people they consider as their top stars or whatever else that they protect, like, what happens when it comes to a Sasha Banks, a Asuka, a Bayley, an Ember, a Mickie James, a Natalya, a Naomi, whoever else they want to bring in. Like, we were just talking about Tessa, and we also mentioned Mercedes Martinez, and we also mentioned Nicole Savoy. And you always think, like, why the hell? They're, you know, some of them they've all been in the Mae Young Classic. They all know these people, right? Like, you know, there's been talk about Tessa's previous attitude issues or whatever else, but like, that talent is the kind of talent that you'll deal with some of that headache or whatever else, because she's so talented, right? But then, like, I just imagine right now, they end up on NXT, they're facing Mia Yim and Shayna and another person who should be up on the main roster.
Yep.
And Bianca and Candice and whoever else. They do their time. They do their year and a day, like it's prison.
Yep.
Their year and a day or 2 years or whatever, and then they end up on the main roster. And then what? And you look at the last two batches of, the last 2 years of NXT call-ups, right? And we were talking about this with WrestleMania. Why do you have 17 matches on this card and only like 6 people that have debuted from NXT to the main roster within the last 24 months even made the main roster card or made the main card? It's like, so you mean to tell me, like, more or less, you have to, and only one of them was a singles match, and that was McIntyre. So basically what you're saying is, unless you're 6'5", 265 pounds, like a Greek god, right? And look, whatever. If that's what you have to be, that's what you have to be. Fine, but
don't tell us it's something else that you need to be.
Right. And also, like, don't tell us that like don't tell us that like you've done a good job with these people when you brought in 2 different batches of people in the last 5 months. In the last 5 months, or let's even go back to the whole 2 years thing again. Like, you brought in all these people. You mean to tell me you struck out with basically 3 groups of people over 2 years? And you've already like, oh, we can't build somebody and have them ready to go in 2 years. It takes 2 years to build up to that. It's like bullshit. Like, I saw how fast you built Finn Balor, and then he got hurt, and then like you said, fuck him. But he was made in one day. He won was it a 4-way or 3-way? I think it was a 4-way.
3-way.
Okay, he won that 3-way. He beat Roman Reigns.
4-way. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
4-way.
He won a 4-way. And won the opening 2 hours of Raw, went in the main event, beat Roman Reigns, who was, going to, was he fresh off or was he going into the suspension?
He was fresh off the suspension.
Fresh off the suspension. He beats the guy that was the top guy or whatever else, and then he goes on, he beats the number 2 guy or whatever else, and then, like, they made him, and he ended up getting his shoulder separating that match. But that's how you build a guy. Like, you look at Braun Strowman. It didn't take Braun Strowman 2 years to get to where he was as far as over. It took him relatively, like, if you start at when he went solo and got away from the Wyatt family, it took him from that first Raw that we were just talking about with Balor, and by the time you get to, a week after WrestleMania, that's where he was? That's less than a year.
Yeah.
So there's something going on to where, like, they're considered a star making factory, and then they complain about the fact that, like, their stars are injured, therefore the draw on the house are all low. But in reality, you guys are shitty at making stars, and you haven't made a money drawing star, a significant money drawing star since John Cena, and that was 2005 or something like that, 2006. Like, Roman is somebody that they made the top star, and he was number 1 guy. But in this era, it's impossible to be a top draw in a way that even John Cena was, because you have 50-50 everyone to death. You made everyone like fucking lose at different points in time. Hell, Roman Reigns had a losing record on pay-per-view in 2017, for fuck's sake.
We've been here before.
Yeah, it always comes back to the star making machine is broken because they do not make wins and losses matter. Therefore, if nothing matters, how can I care about the person that's out here winning and losing nothing matches?
Yep. Somebody that's been in nothing matches for a while is Luke Harper. And it seems like he's not going anywhere. He's had time added to what he got going on with WWE. So not only will we not give you your release, we're going to go ahead and tack on another 6 months just for good measure, just to send a message to everybody in the locker room. We don't care if you're unhappy here, you independent contractor. You are staying whether you like it or not, and we will either bury you or use you or not use you at all. So with Luke Harper, it's like, yo, like, he basically told Vince in writing like Vince McMahon in writing told Luke that he's not going to release him. Of course, he had the Sami Zayn program that was dropped. Vince is still pissed, apparently, that he couldn't even do a Southern accent, and that was years ago. And Vince got pissed.
Wait, are you talking about like the I'm a team player from like going into Survivor Series 14?
I would guess, yeah.
Survivor Series 14. That was almost 5 years ago, Rich.
Yes. And there are a lot of people that said Luke needs to get out of the company.
They made him Intercontinental Champion during that time. Like the very next pay-per-view after that Survivor Series, that TLC match, he had that ladder match with or that TLC pay-per-view where he had that ladder match, that great ladder match with Ziggler. Like, what? I don't. This
like Vince just doesn't get him, and
well, of course he doesn't get him. He doesn't get anybody. Because they're all millennials. So
yeah, Luke is almost 40, but whatever.
I mean, that's the age of millennials now. That's why the reason why when he said that shit to Austin, it made no sense in 2000. Was that 15 or something or 16? He's like, millennials, Cesaro, and they grab the brass ring, pal, and all other bullshit. It's like, dude. These are grown-ass adults. You know how old millennials are? Like, that's not just code word. That's not a code word for young people. Like, they're grown-ass adults with kids and run businesses and pay their taxes just like everybody else that are millennials. What are you talking about? That's nonsense. That is old. That is you are old. That is not millennials. That is you are old, Vince.
They said they're not even putting this man on a brand, James. Like, so, poor Luke Harper. All he did was, handle himself with class, put out a very thoughtful, this goes back to before WrestleMania where he said he was going to try to make that match at Access mean as much as it could.
Mm-hmm.
He did his thing.
I haven't watched the match yet, but I heard it was great.
And after that, like, it's just like, yo, all right, you're not going to use me, like, on either roster. You still, like you're pissed at me over a dark match with EC3 where the stuff you wanted to see EC3 and Drake Maverick didn't go well, so you're pissed at me. I don't need to be here. I'll just ask for my release. And then it's like, nah, just because you want to be petty, you want to make sure you're not sending this guy that could turn to a star. Fix your machine, Vince. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah, and the thing for me when it comes to them, adding time to people injured, or adding time from people are out past 6 weeks so that like it rolls over, so they can get all the dates they need to out of you, quote unquote, or to, stall you out until you eventually like break and like resign. Like I understand the game theory on that, but there is a sunk cost in that, and the sunk cost is the fact that like people are going to think of y'all in a bad light from a PR standpoint. And I'm not necessarily, it's not definitely not on par with the Saudi Arabia stuff, but like there's been a lot of noise, especially since after that positive ass WrestleMania we had all the kumbaya finishes and shit that like Sasha's they completely like I don't know. They completely said we're going to fuck you over against Sasha, and Sasha said, "I think I'm good on that." And then you have Luke Harper when like he was geared up for something else, and they said, "Nah, like we're going to start you out yet again." And and then you end up with, and I'm not even saying these people that are supposed to be like the top, going to be like the next Steve Austins or whatever, but like these are people that can that help the quality of the product because of how talented they are, regardless. So like the more. There's no such thing as, we always talk about like in football, you can never have too many pass rushers. You can never have too many cover corners. You can never have too many running backs. And in baseball, you can never have too much pitching. Like you could never have too many good wrestlers. It's impossible. It's literally impossible to have too many good wrestlers. All right. So like when you decide like we're just going to not use this person, it's like, I mean, yikes. But Hold'em's like, I mean, cool, but like you could make use out of them by like taking them to NXT UK or taking them to NXT and just beating the piss out of them and like great matches and let the other people try to get over and let them, use them get over. Like they're kind of doing that with Cash Zona when they rented him out to UK as well. So I don't like you can make use of these people to benefit like what you're trying to do. Like, and that's but then again, wins and losses don't matter. So maybe they see that as well, it don't matter. Just send their ass home.
Yep. And
let them collect their downside and put their ass on the ice for the rest of their life. And it's like that is I understand the game theory of that, but you're always gonna come off looking like the bad guy,
and they don't want to be the bad guy promotion, James. That's the thing. But it's like
allegedly,
allegedly, yeah.
Unless like Bret Hart decides to mention like Vince McMahon's name during a fucking Hall of Fame speech, then it's like you get cussed out and shit, and allegedly fired, or somebody quits because they're tired of Vince's shit.
Yeah. So something else going on. Lio Rush. We did a long segment over on our LOP show. So pretty much just to follow that up, there's been like Lio himself has apparently he's turned down a contract. I guess it may be $300,000 a year because I figured there's no way that it's $300,000 for 5 years because that would be insane. He did a interview.
That'd be less than what he's probably already making.
Right. He did a interview with Fightful, which is like crazy because WWE does not allow their wrestlers to do these type of things. And I'm just wondering, like, who's gonna like just test it? Like, if you want to get out of there, what will you do to ensure that you can do it? And talking to the wrestling journalists, that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah, well, my thing is like if you're trying to get fired, right, and you talk about permission, like, all right, like let's say you weren't quote unquote authorized to do it, like, and you say, well, fuck them, I'm done. I want to get fired, or I want to try to get fired, or I want to, show them that I'm not a pusher or whatever else. Like, you do an interview, what they're gonna be like? Well, WWE didn't give me access to you. Fuck out of here. They're gonna run the story or whatever happened. So I don't know about like, I don't know, like, did WWE actually quote unquote give him permission to get an interview, or did he just like on his own to say, "Fucking, I'm sick of this. I'm just gonna give out my side of the story."
From what I gather, Lio named Fightful in his initial series of tweets, and what happened was Fightful reached out to him like, "Hey, let's make this right. Like, don't be like slandering our name." And I guess they just got access. I don't know anything about WWE granting any permission.
Okay, so another reason why I brought it up is because, like, apparently when they brought up, when I read the article about him doing the sit down or the call and interview with SAP or whatever else, he mentioned that like he did reach out to Lio Rush before he printed what he printed, and he never got back to him or it was a no comment situation. So it's like, he did the lead work on the front end, and then like for him to get called a liar or whatever else after, or people are printing fabrications, and it's like, well, I actually went to you for you to clear this up on the front end, and then you decided not to do it for whatever reason, and whatever reason is like, that's on you. Like, if WWE doesn't let you and you don't, or WWE tells you not to, and then you don't want to, it doesn't mean that I have to hold my information. I just say that I reached out, you ain't say shit, so I ran with it.
Right.
So then he comes back again and like, I need clarification on these comments. Like, well, you know how much easier this would have worked if you just went on the front end and did this? Like, maybe this was the last straw. I don't know.
Leo's talking about he's been like, he's not making the money that he should be making, and there's a deal where he's not getting merch checks for the Lashley's shirts. He's paying his own rental for 5 days in hotel while not making the money. We had Mark Henry going at Lio Rush and telling him like, you make enough money to do whatever. Like, it's your spending that needs to change and all this stuff. And it's just like the stuff Mark Henry's been saying, like, and I've been sending it to you in private threads for a while, is sounding real bad and on a lot of different situations that would get him called names in normal situations.
Yikes. So the thing that's funny for me is this dude like lived the life on the indies. So like for you to tell me that all of a sudden like his spending habits are out of control, I find that hard to believe, because like them dudes be like sleeping in the same beds as each other, like to make towns and shit on the indies. So sorry, I ain't believing that shit. Like the quote Uncle Chad Butler, I ain't believing that shit. So I'm the same thing as you. Like all of a sudden he got WWE, and then all of a sudden like he decided to like like also, I just got a check from Stanford. I woke up in a new Bugatti. Come on now, like you expect me to believe that?
I don't know, man. Like Yeah, man. I just think with Lio Rush, like,
and also, sorry, but also the thing about like he should have came to me. I asked him if he was okay. He's like, dude, I don't know about you, but like when y'all were in trouble, like in school or whatever else, y'all like used to like talk to the hall monitor, or the snitch and your or liaison or whatever else, because like generally like that's getting ran up to boss man, and I'm not trying to deal with boss man because I'm trying to just do my job without like dealing with authority. Like it's kind of it's kind of my thing. Like I don't know how you see that or whatever else, but like you are a no thank you.
Like Mark Henry, you are the office. Like at this point,
yeah.
And it's like it's something else. For me, looking at that situation, it's like older generations of black folks against younger generations of black folks. And
yep, you don't know how good you had it. It's like, okay.
I'm just like, yo.
Like, yeah, you might have a point. But it doesn't mean that like things are copacetic as you think it is, sir.
Yeah, and the thing is with when I was coming up, this is what we had to do. But maybe like Lio Rush doesn't want to do that shit, and maybe he doesn't feel like he has to do that shit. Like,
oh, are you talking about the water bottle stuff?
Yeah, that and carrying bags and driving people around. Like maybe he doesn't feel like he wants to do that. I know that's a thing. Like obviously guys do that.
Or better yet, like y'all are grown adults. Why the fuck are you having other people do like grunt work? Like you are your own adult. You live your own life. When you're in your house, like do you have other people? Do you have servants? No. Okay, so why the fuck will you come on the road and expect to have servants that are also doing the same job as you? They're fucking co-workers. They're not do boys or do girls. Get the fuck out of here. That's ridiculous.
I think we look at it a lot different in these situations than it's always been done in wrestling.
Well, look. That always been done in wrestling shit. It sounds really good and great until you say that like we are clearing the locker room of the kinds of people that help breed that kind of culture. But then you want to also get rid of the bad eggs that help create that culture over decades, and then want to keep parts of that same culture that makes sense to you?
They want to keep that culture and put them in management positions, James. There's a Triple H promo going around from the Slammy Awards that you can find on Twitter and check it out yourselves. But, yeah, man, more bad news on the WWE front.
Real quick, like when we talk about the Undertaker and it was a wrestler's court and whatever else. Like, no, there should not be a fucking wrestler's court. You know how you handle that? Fucking HR department. That's how you handle that.
Yeah, yeah.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong here?
I just feel like wrestling is just this backwards business, and it's like for so long it was so secret and it was just so hard to get information about it now, and they're going through the period where enough information has been out there for a certain amount of time. Outsiders are looking at them like, why is this going on? This is completely wrong. This would never happen anywhere else, like in any other legitimate form of work. And I guess that's where I can get messed up, because wrestling is legitimate. Like, I don't know how that's exactly going to fly.
Here's the thing. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Des Bryant in 2010 NFL draft?
I think so.
Okay, so when he was a rookie for the Cowboys, someone tried to run this carry my bags rook game on him. And you know what he did?
What'd he do?
He said, "Sure, I'll do it if you can whoop me for it." He didn't carry no bags. To my knowledge, he didn't carry the person that was trying to get him to carry bags that was like the veteran receiver at the time. He wasn't carrying his bags anymore. Like, and it don't need to go to that situation, because like they don't need to be fighting or whatever else. It's just it's a fucking fake job and people are actors, whatever else. But like, if you want to say it's fake and these people are actors or whatever, it is more of a stage play, whatever else, cool. But like, don't tell me that if I take my ass to Broadway and sit in on people like going through their blocking, that they're having their understudies like be fucking geeks and do boys for them. That's absurd. I'm sure people do that out of respect to be nice to whoever is whatever, but like it's not something where like, yeah, we lean on you and we expect this sort of stuff from you guys and you got to pack shit up or whatever else. Like, no, there's grips and people backstage to handle that shit. Think of all the geeks that work in production or travel with them that do next to nothing or whatever else. Like, that's stuff that they should be handling. And also, they made like how many millions of dollars in profit last year? Over 100?
Yes.
100, like $120 million. Why are there people carrying the water for them?
Yeah.
Look, you mean to tell me that you couldn't pay somebody? You got rid of Pyro. Use that money that you save on Pyro and buy 2 guys and get 1 guy for the SmackDown tour, 1 person for the Raw tour, and you still come out saving much money on Pyro. That's ridiculous.
There's a lot in that interview. I encourage you guys to go check it out on Fightful with Sean Ross Sapp. I'm not going to get into everything here, but yeah, I'd advise you guys check it out. But Goldberg is going to Saudi Arabia, and I'm kind of blown. I actually just dropped episode 7 of the Road to 173-0, so I'm all like in full Goldberg mode right now. Like I'm about 35 matches deep in actual like watch things, and I'm just like, damn, like this one is just weird. And on top of the fact that he's 50 something, it's Saudi Arabia, it's that fucking show over there where they can't even say they're at. And apparently this was defense as well. So yeah, lots to unpack there on Goldberg being in Saudi Arabia. What do you think? What did you think when you heard about this news, James?
I was surprised that he decided to come back, but I mean, whatever, a check's a check for him, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, he is a businessman, if nothing else.
Right.
Historically.
Right. So I'm kind of surprised that that's the route he decided to go, but it's one of those situations where WWE felt they need to get him off the board. So you bring him in to do something like that, which is appropriate for like that sort of thing, which is kind of like when you were talking about the proliferation of and the bloat with all of the the part-timers, whatever else, that you were like, yeah, like anything goes on these, Saudi Arabia or Australian shows, whatever else, because it's like, let them have their matches there, let them get the fuck away from WrestleMania to where we can try to minimize the impact of, the bloat of all of the main roster people, the part-timer people, taken away from the main roster's ability to shine. You only need 1, 2, maybe even 3 of those guys. You don't need 6 or 7 like last year or this year's WrestleMania, where you have a retirement match with Angle. You have Cena going out there to whoop a last ass for the second WrestleMania in a row. You have Batista versus Triple H, and you have Brock Lesnar parachuting in. You also have Shane. That's 6. And the year before, it was more or less the same people every single year. And it's kind of been like that since WrestleMania 32, more or less. So, and last year actually had those Undertaker, and then this year we had Undertaker after WrestleMania. So yeah, like it makes sense that like you move Goldberg off to that or whatever else. But it's like it's kind of thing of, you're kind of surprised that Goldberg. I mean, I guess you're kind of surprised that Goldberg decided to do this. For me, it's like I never knew what Goldberg's politics were or whatever else. I just know that he's always been a person that's into making money because he's not a mark. So it's like in the same situation where oh, Randy Orton's definitely going to Saudi Arabia. Ain't no fucking doubt he's going to Saudi Arabia. Right. If you had asked me beforehand, be like, would he go to Saudi Arabia? I'd probably be like, yeah, probably. So yeah, I guess my position is kind of from detached from not knowing his politics or whatever else. Mm-hmm. And just knowing the history of him going out to get that money, I figured I kind of would have assumed that's what he would have done. So to me, I'm kind of not as surprised. I don't know.
I'm trying to think.
What is your personal feeling on it that makes you feel different, though? I guess what I'm kind of asking.
I don't know. It's just like you always hear these stories about how charitable Goldberg is and all the work he always does with kids. And I don't know. It's just like, and then like the double whammy on that was like Mick Foley was saying he would go over there, and now it's like, bro, Foley's like. He's the opposite of Randy Orton.
Do you think it's a generational thing?
I think it's these dudes see bags falling from the sky right now.
That's what I mean. Like Goldberg, Mick Foley, those guys grew up in an era where it's like the job is to make as much money as you possibly can, and if you also can do some bit of good to kind of inspire the future generations with your work or your promos or whatever have you. Cool, but this is a money-making business first and foremost, and you were an independent contractor, as opposed to now it's like, there's so many outlets, there's so much stuff around, like you can
write a book, start a podcast, do like a fucking video, do a speaking tour, do like whatever.
Yeah, like I think now there are more options for people to actually be able to, and also like there's more awareness now because of social media and proliferation of the internet, where it's like you can get more insight into who exactly you're working for and if you actually want to fuck with them for real. So yeah, I kind of so I think that might be it, and like the more you're into that, and the more you were from that era of get this paper. I feel like you're more or less likely to not really care that much about where that money comes from or if there's blood on that money or whatever else.
Yeah. All money ain't good money. So Roman Reigns is gonna be on Raw this week. Apparently the brand split already taking a dump.
Is he for sure? Or was it just because I didn't know if that was I heard it was an angle about him going to Raw, but I was like, I don't care because it's like whatever. If he shows up, he shows up. If he doesn't, he doesn't.
He said he's gonna be there.
Okay.
And there's a story going around. I believe Voice of Wrestling had sent it out. It was like they had a house show scheduled in Corbin, Kentucky. Yes, Corbin. What a town name. What's up, Ricky? But apparently it was like low ticket sales, and then all those dudes, like, they had, they're still out on the road an extra day, and it was like, well, we might as well just bring the ass to Raw. I don't know if this is a function of going to Corbin, Kentucky, or just more of the downtrend of what's going on with WWE right now. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Was that the only show that's been canceled because of low sales? Ticket sales?
Of late, like the only other shows that I could think of that have been canceled because of low ticket sales was like the India show when Jinder Mahal was the champion. And they when
they went from 2 days to 1, right?
Yeah.
And Triple H beat that man.
Yes, smart move, Triple H, not laying down. But
look. We always talk about Triple H and he knows he's past his prime and this and the third or whatever else. Like this man said, "Nah, bro, I'm beating you. I'm beating you."
Help the future of the business? Nah, we don't need to help that much. No, not for that dude. Look, just because Vince pushing don't mean that I got to. Look, I run NAC. Have you seen my eye for talent? Okay, then. But yeah, so Roman will be on Raw. Who knows who else will be there from SmackDown? But he says he has some type of storyline. He is holding the Universal Championship in his new avatar on Twitter. So take that for however you want to take it. Moving on, Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho showed up at a show that CODY was advertised for in Georgia, and Kenny he attacked Jericho, jumped out on him, pretty much, returned the favor from, I guess, All In before, and also the press conference when, Jericho just, took it to him off rip, gave him the Dragon Suplex, and I believe he cut a promo as well, but, on to build their match up for Double or Nothing, which I'm very excited about. And then, apparently, Wrestling Dontaku last night, sidetrack, Tomohiro Ishii needs the main event, the next Wrestle Kingdom, and I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Kiss my ass, and, I might as well just shake my dick,
Oh, my God.
Right,
okay,
yeah.
So I'm trying to think. So, what would the machinations be for that to actually happen? Like, okay, so I guess what I'm saying is, if we're getting Ishii, so I'm assuming he wins the G1, right?
Yes.
Okay, so for him to win the G1, what will you have to do with Okada, Ibushi, Jay White, Naito, and Tanahashi or where will you put them as far as, I guess, if you can't, because it's kind of elaborate for me to be like, yeah, book 5 guys a year out from now, but
look, know where I put them?
So hold on. So I'm saying, like, I guess I'm saying is, all right, if you are, I guess you also have to include Jericho. Jericho ain't doing no damn G1. We know that. He'll fucking die. But if that is the case, if you are going to put him in as a G1 winner that goes to Wrestle Kingdom, like, what, like, who will be the champion at that point in time, and like, what do you see as like the kind of the layout of like the other heavy hitters in New Japan for that to be at Wrestle Kingdom for that like to take place?
Maybe. Okay, so first, I will put everybody else underneath Tomohiro Ishii. That's where I will put everybody else. So, I don't care. They can have a 8-man match together and die for all I care.
Okay,
but,
so
no, I'm just
all right, so I know you're joking, but seriously, like we were just talking about how obviously they're totally different companies. They do totally different things, but we just saw how Kenny left after Wrestle Kingdom, and they immediately slotted Jay White into the top Gaijin role, right? And they made him a champion at the very first chance they could, right? So you have stuff like that, and then you also look at Stardom where Arisa Hoshiki, she after 5 months of part time and she's a full timer, she wins a Celebrity tournament and she's going to challenge Momo for the title eventually, probably the next Kurikan Hall show. B Priestley, she has now become a full-time member. We are making her the top champion, even though she was a mid-carder, right? A flat-out mid-carder. And one night we got her over though. Okay, so knowing that Ibushi signed a lifetime contract, how are you going to get him off the table? You have to explain how to get him off the table. Because for me, once he signed on and he said it was for life, I was like, okay, he's winning the G1, he's going to Wrestle Kingdom, and he's winning the fucking title at Wrestle Kingdom this year. So, like, I mean, obviously things might be different from my perception as a casual New Japan fan, but that's a big face joker you're gonna have to knock off. And I'm trying to figure out how you do that.
So he has to. All right. So Okada and Jericho are at Dominion. We're gonna get there in a minute, people. I promise. We have also at Dominion Naito and Ibushi. So Kota Ibushi will drop the Intercontinental title, the Perpetual Intercontinental to the Perpetual Intercontinental Champion Tetsuya Naito. Move him to the side again.
Oh my god!
Move him to the side. Okay. Sorry, Naito. And Naito will go to the G1 and have a wonderful performance, and see underneath you will support Tomohiro Ishii at the top of the card. Tomohiro Ishii, on the other hand, will after Okada puts a rainmaker through Chris Jericho's face at the G1. Tomohiro Ishii will walk out.
Wait, you mean at Dominion?
Oh, at Dominion. Sorry.
Okay.
Tomohiro Ishii will walk out and point at the championship, but Rich, there are no championship shows there. I've got it fixed here. So Okada and Tomohiro Ishii will be in the same block as each other while Okada is the champion. Tomohiro Ishii will defeat Kazuchika Okada during that block play. Kota Ibushi will continue his reign on. Tomohiro Ishii will not win the block. We will get Kazuchika Okada versus Kota Ibushi for the G1 championship. Kota Ibushi will defeat Kazuchika Okada. And then at King of Pro Wrestling, Tomohiro Ishii will win the IWGP championship from Kazuchika Okada. And something will happen. Something will happen to where Naito and Okada fight each other for the white belt in this case. Okay. And then Kota Ibushi and Tomohiro Ishii for your main event of Wrestle Kingdom 14. Run it.
Okay. Hey, I'm with it. I'm with it. I just like, look, man, I have a hard time imagining, like, I just have a real hard time imagining Ibushi not winning the G1 and not winning and not going to Wrestle Kingdom. But like, if we were making it to where like Ishii beats him and Ishii basically gets like almost like a Strowman run that Strowman should have gotten with the belt, and then he drops it off at the show. Fine, and to the person that's going to be the actual top guy, sure, great. Like that's more than fine. You're right. Yeah, that works.
And then Naito can beat Okada like at the Dome, like everybody wants, in the main event on the one day of Wrestle Kingdom, and then the other day will be Ishii and Ibushi, and then Okada will eventually he will work his way into getting back to the champion at that time, Kota Ibushi, at next summer's Dominion. So I laid out a year for you, Gato. Go book it. And look, and I'm sure if we were to put other factors like Kenny, I could work him into the story too. So y'all just let me know. Fantasy booking with Rich Latta here. But
oh my god! So I'm guessing in this situation that like Tanahashi, Jericho is Wrestle Kingdom 14 in this scenario.
Yes,
because sure, why not, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And I would throw like even Kenny versus Jay White at Wrestle Kingdom 2. Put that out there too. So, yeah, but at Dominion, back to reality here.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden, this shit broke into an episode of Keeping It Strong style.
So, you know,
what has happened here?
And the only reason I've gone this hard for Tomohiro Ishii, I watched a match he had with Evil last night, and it was just great. And then I was like, so at what point can we just take this underrated label off this man and be like, this is flat out one of the greatest wrestlers who ever lived and exists? And I thought it was damn near a 5-star match with Evil. Mm-hmm. It was just like, just so much quality work from this guy. And they were talking about it on commentary. He's 43 years old. I don't know how much time he has left at this level. And
especially when he works the way he works. Jesus.
Working the way he works. And it's like, it feels like he can do it forever, because everyone that says they wrestle him, they say it's like a night off. It's a walk in the park. It's easy. So there's something that he's doing that he's great at that we haven't figured out. And it looks a lot worse than it is. But keep me in that gray area. I don't need to figure all that out. It looks crazy. Mm-hmm. It looks like nuts.
Like, he's so good that you actually don't want to know the magic, right? Like,
right. Don't tell me. Like,
that's funny.
Like, oh man. But Okada and Jericho at Dominion. What do you think of this matchup?
Have you figured out, like, okay, so also with Double or Nothing, have you figured out like how they're going to turn it into a no rules match? Like, we have to, like, shouldn't we be treating Jericho much the same way that we always talk about, like, pay-per-view matches with Strowman, where everything should be Jericho rules? It was like, look, man, the rules are there are no rules. You go out there and you go nuts and do whatever you need to do to get this match over.
I'm sure
trying to wrestle Bret Hart professional wrestling these days, or actually in this case, Kenny Omega professional wrestling these days.
That's a lot of athleticism.
There's a lot of athleticism and movement to be trying to work around with a dude that's almost 50.
So I think what's going to happen is it's going to be billed as a regular rules match, and then they'll probably get like a table spot or something that'll happen. Okay. But I brought that up because it's like that's the same thing that applies to the Okada match at Dominion. So it's like, I mean, we know Okada can make anything work, and Jericho is a genius too. So, but I kind of like this Jericho that we've been getting. So it's almost like I'm sure it'll be a great match, but like I think that Jericho has a much higher ceiling when he's out here. Like, the rules are there are no rules, and I can just create chaos. So I'm just wondering if they're like cheating themselves, and really by cheating themselves, I mean cheating us. Any reservations about Jericho being the opponent, like at all? At all?
I mean, kayfabe wise, he hasn't done shit. I mean, I guess you could say he was IC champion. He never had a match since then, so therefore, like, he was somebody that mattered, and he's been gone. So you give him another shot, but like they haven't explained as far as from a wins-loss perspective. There's really nothing much there other than to say he was a former IC champion.
Right. I'm excited about the match. I've wanted to see Jericho versus either Okada or Tanahashi for quite some time here.
Yep, same here.
I love the match that he did with Naito at Wrestle Kingdom. So
yep.
I have learned never to doubt Chris Jericho again. Like, he will figure it out. Because remember, he has War style, he has WCW style, he has WWF style, he has WWE style, he has New Japan style, he has Chris Jericho style, he has AEW style.
Hey, he also has NXT style when he was out here wrestling Daniel Bryan in the first episode of NXT. So he also has NXT style too.
Yes,
so,
he does. Yes, he has Smoky Mountain style. You know,
Smoky Mountain style.
CMLL AAA style.
Oh my god.
Yeah, man. So like, never bet against Chris Jericho. I think it's gonna be phenomenal. I think he's gonna beat Kenny at Double or Nothing, and then roll into they're gonna send him in there with all the momentum to either to do a job or to shock the world, one of the two. So
wait, so you think he's gonna beat Kenny?
Yes. I've thought that like since they announced it. Like,
so is that for the title, or is that the Neville or Pac Adam Page match? I couldn't keep track. There is no title yet.
There is no title yet. No.
Okay, so I was saying like it'd be cool if like they crown that the winner does that. Jericho comes in with AEW title, and you do AEW champion versus New Japan champion. But whatever. I mean, look. If Jericho wins, he's the de facto NXT. He's a de facto AEW champion any damn way.
So this is like the lineal AEW championship that's starting here.
I mean, may as well be. You tell me what's going on last. I can tell you right now, Cody versus Dustin ain't going on last.
Oh, I'd be fucking shocked if that happened. But
dude, that would be worse. That would be way worse than when they did Dalton Castle and Marty Scurll at Supercard of Honor. Don't do that. Like your biggest matches, your main events. Don't play with it. Like don't end up being like, look. And Jericho got plenty of experience. To tell you that's not the route you want to do. Look at WrestleMania 18.
Right. Yeah. So excited for this. Very excited. So Okada will figure it out. Jericho will figure it out.
Yes.
So
it's two geniuses.
Yeah. We didn't talk about the Cody promo that happened over the last week.
Okay.
So on the road to Double or Nothing, episode 14, I believe it was a response to Goldust promo, which I thought was excellent. And Cody pretty much, he gave it a little bit about Dustin, but it was largely like, I'm ready to get this last era the fuck out of here, and and they can't touch us, they can't lace our boots anymore, and it kind of felt like a rallying cry for the promotion in a sense as well. They mentioned,
it was like Shane Douglas when he threw that fucking Eastern Championship Wrestling belt on the ground. It was like, nah, it's time for this extreme shit.
It's a new day, like.
Yeah,
like they etch your name out. Jigga's on that Hard Not Life Jay-Z verse that we always talking about. Like etch your name out. Jigga's on top. Like so, yeah, that was a very good promo by Cody, and it was just like, yo, let's get these fucking dinosaurs out of here. Like, and it was shot in the simple David Starr style, which is like. You see the things they're doing and then what's happening around the world, like the David Starr promos, and then it's like, yo, what if we let Roman Reigns look into the camera like that? What kind of magic would we get? We just don't know. And I think he would do very well, like trying something like that. And I love the presentation of this. Yeah.
I think the most impressive thing for me was, it was in a similar vein to the David Starr thing, but it wasn't. But it was just a single shot, no cuts,
right.
Supposed to, putting the way that the David Starr Ring of Honor thing was shot. It was shot as if like, yes, it was in a dark room, but like there's multiple shots, and you don't know if that's multiple takes being strummed together over the music or if that's just one shot. Like for a fact, like that Cody thing, that was one take or whatever else. That was just a 4-minute tracking shot, right? And like there were no breaks, there were whatever. I don't know how many times it took him to do that, but it doesn't matter. It's pre-tape, and it's one shot and it immediately grabs you by the neck and says, "Pay attention." So that was awesome. I do like the story he's laying out about like, and it also plays at the time the stuff they tried to do and hint at when they were teasing the stuff between Royal Rumbles or whatever else with Cody and Dustin, where it was like. I'm just calling him Goldust. I badly want to call him Goldust because it's Goldust.
Yeah, it is Goldust.
Yeah, so like all the stuff where they allude to were like, Dustin's the black sheep and brought, more quote unquote disgrace to the family name and demons and whatever other issues that Dustin's had over his career. Yeah. As far as disgracing the Rose family name and then talked about like one person is the prodigal son, the other one is really the black sheep, and I know who I am. Like I thought it was like, interesting. Now, it's almost like do you remember? Was it What was the game disc record when he's rapping over Hustler's Ambition? Was that 140? Was that 120 or 240?
That was 120, I believe. 240 was the Spider Joke joint.
Right. Okay. So remember, like, while all that whole like Game versus G-Unit thing was going on, Game was like, if Aftermath was a family, they didn't have a mother, I'd be Dre's newborn. You'd be the jealous older brother. Cody is flat out saying, I am the newborn. You are the jealous older brother. And I was like, okay. I mean, I am between Dustin's thing where I was like, I don't know where they're headed with this, and then with Cody like bringing it to the front with both of their perspectives is like, I'm into this match in a way that I was never into it when you were like saying it needs to be a WrestleMania match for years. Over the years when we were just watching WWE. So like from that perspective, like they're off to a very good start, and you know the talk about like that was almost like a rallying cry of the new era. Like it's talk about The Rock and his great promos, whatever else, and comparing it to Punk on the ramp in Vegas, like that is a good like marker for saying like this is when like the era, like this like the descent, the line of delineation between like the eras or whatever else. So, I mean, obviously there's a ruthless aggression and all in the short-lived reality era that turned into whatever the fuck this is, or PG or PG turned reality, whatever the hell it was, post ruthless aggression. But like people have not let go of this fucking attitude era thing, and like all them dudes are 50 now. Yeah. So it's definitely, you definitely have a point. I mean, he definitely has a point. Now, we are talking about The Rock, so like I'm also like I get it. Like it makes sense to use these certain huge people to like, so it immediately jogs your mind and snaps you into knowing what's going on. But like it also still is The Rock, so like maybe like like damn, bro, like you could use somebody else as another example. Like The Rock was fucking awesome. but like I feel like, look, it's one of those things where it's like I feel so much of your point that I'm not gonna let that like hang me. I'm gonna let it rock. The normal way that it was. Like bro, you tripping, but proceed.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see this, So it's gonna be interesting, like when it comes time for him to wrestle Jericho, if he runs any of this rhetoric back. But I think the thing with Jericho is like he's not married to that time period. Like as much as he was associated with it, like as we clown, but it was like, yo, he's rolled through every major promotion of the last 30 years. Like like he's Chris Jericho. Like he's something else.
Yeah, and that's also why Jericho, once Jericho comes out there like dressed like a clown, like he ain't really playing like the games as far as the back and forth about him being old or whatever. Because like the ultimate, like he's trying to brawl, he's trying to be a nasty, vicious dude as opposed to, like this ain't Y2J no more. And like
he's dead.
And look, ain't no knock with Y2J. Y2J was awesome, but like this, he's out here doing something new right now. So like I mean, you can't just say he's old because, like, obviously, like that. He also was a part of that era, but he definitely someone that you have to mention in that era. But like, he might quickly divorce himself from that, and then you're kind of like, I mean, obviously they'll talk about it beforehand, but like, he could just divorce himself from that and be like, look at me the last couple of years. Did I look like some old fucking relic? Yeah, and then it can move on for something there. But like, there's a lot of interesting stuff that those two can do because those are some good like wrestling and acting and promo minds.
And Jericho's not the guy that people want to throw out here to compare because he's literally like none of the other part-timers and older guys. He's like none of them. He's still great in the ring. His mind is still sharp. His body is like falling apart, but the way he works now, it actually suits him better because he doesn't have to be Chris Jericho from 15 years ago. And it's just like, I'm so excited just to see this shit get started because it's like, if this is how it's going to be, it's like, yo, we're turned over to the fucking new era, and you can either get with it or whatever. I'm sold.
Yeah. And another part about you mentioned as far as he's not like the other guys is like it also hurts like WWE's like the WWE side because like it wasn't an issue in like let's say WrestleMania 28 when it was Undertaker versus Triple H, and then it's Rock in a generation versus generation match, similar to what we just talked about earlier in the show with TESSA versus GAIL. Yeah. And like there's three of those guys on a 4-hour show, and two of them wrestle each other. So that's two matches that involve like the older guard. So it's almost like the old Paul Heyman ECW thing when they brought in Terry Funk. It's like you can have one old legend or whatever. It's like, yeah, there's not one, but there's only three, and it's a 4-hour show, as opposed to like it's a 5.5-hour show and there's like 6 or 7 of them depending on the year. And it's like, and they all come in the same exact time, as opposed to like one person pops in at this point, another person pops in at this point. Okay, it kind of keeps it fresh, as opposed to they're all coming in all at the same time, all like, and they're all coming. Like they're treating it like it's fucking Thanksgiving dinner.
Like they're all showing up for the awkward promo where the whole crowd looks at them like, oh Lord, here it comes to set up the bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, like it doesn't help the WWE's like schedule. It so seems like it's been stuck on repeat for so long. Whereas like, okay, you already know over half the pay-per-views. You already know what over half of the pay-per-views are before they even announce them or going to next year. You already know you're getting Royal Rumble, Stream Rules, Money in the Bank, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, TLC, Hell in a Cell. You already know what half of the the big shows you're going to get to, and then like nothing wrong with tradition. Like I enjoy all of the ones I just named because they they all bring something, but like it's harder for you to tell stories when like you already know you are blocked into you're gonna have to go do this and then do this, and then like even when you do a count out finish between AJ Styles and Samoa Joe at SummerSlam, you can't even get to it in the decisive fucking match in Hell in a Cell. You got to get that to Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy. Like
Boy.
so like.
And I'll say this for the tradition.
I'm sorry, I don't know how you got over that, but my point is like there is such a routine. There's literally a routine, and you already know what to expect. And like there's nothing necessarily wrong with that as much as it is like you can mix some of this stuff up or hold things off or push things forward a little bit to like break up the monotony of side. Because it feels like all pay-per-views I've named, we've had those pay-per-views for like since 2012. It feels like maybe even later than that. Or maybe earlier than that, as far as like what you're going to get every single month without fail, and then it's like that also doesn't help the TV feel more fresh, right? So
and I think unless you have like and you said for tradition now, New Japan, they've had the G1 every year for all those years, right? Mm-hmm. Unless it's some like the G1 is an institution where you can weave these stories and these people into and use the G1 as a tool. It's like kind of like the Royal Rumble match if you really want, like 2018's Royal Rumble.
What it used to be.
Right. Yeah. Rather than just like, it's going out there and it's a match we're putting together tonight, and
it's like, there's 3 people with any shot of winning.
Yeah.
And granted, like that was kind of always the case, but you would always get storylines about, friend betrayed friend at the Rumble. So what happened? Like the last time we had a real opportunity like that was when Sasha was like working heelish at that Rumble, and then threw over Bayley, and then like the next month at Elimination Chamber kicked her off the pod, and then Bayley eliminated Sasha at the women's battle royal on the pre-show of WrestleMania 34. And we got jack shit out of that. Like we had them fake fighting each other. Dr. Shelby dusts his ass off from 2012. Shows up. They do anger management. Sasha says she loves Bayley, and then they're a tag team. And then we just broke them up like after like one title defense.
Yeah, man.
No, after no title defense, they got no title defense in, right?
Who?
Did they? Okay, what did they do? Elimination Chamber. They won the belt, right?
They defended the belt once
against who?
Nia Jackson, Tamina.
That's right. So they had one title defense, and then they were already out of there. So then it was like, all right, and we're also you don't get a chance to go get your titles back because like these geeks basically stole them. We're splitting you up and disbanding you as a team, moving to separate brands. Great story, guys. Great story.
Incredible. And we wonder why Sasha Banks wants to walk on this company. Yeah, man. One other thing I could give a high recommend for is the Nick Aldis Marty Scurll match for the NWA Heavyweight Championship at the Crockett Cup. Cornette was just a revelation on commentary. Nick Aldis should be being pushed in a major fed somewhere as a upper guy. I don't know where, but if the options are, say if we were to import him to Monday Night Raw, he should definitely be over Corbin, over Lashley, or any of those guys. Like he would be a great opponent for Seth Rollins right now.
Could you do me a favor and reiterate the word major so that like you can like every time you say major is like a jab to Caleb because he likes to play pretending with the NWA title.
You know, a major promotion.
Thank you.
A major league promotion that holds events consecutively.
Yes.
I'm just kidding, Caleb, but
no, I'm not. Don't try to back out. Don't try to cut that with baking soda. Nah, stop playing.
We trying to do this double turn, James. Like I'm trying to turn babyface. Like I told you I was babyface this year. So, yeah, but that's pretty much gonna wrap the show up. James, anything you can think of before we get up out of here? I feel like we gave y'all a lot this week. We ain't gonna lie. Like I'm just like I looked at this thing. This show was not supposed to go this long, but you know the first.
How long did the show end up going?
We're at 1:45 right now. We're cooking. You know, but yeah. Yeah, man. But I think we went through. Any Ring of Honor news? I mean, obviously, it ain't really much Ring of Honor news ever since that debacle they put in Madison Square Garden. But like, is there anything else we need to? Because we jumped around a lot of places. Like we talked about women's wrestling. We talked about some independent wrestling. We talked about WWE. We talked about what Jericho's doing. Like, yeah, we jumped around the globe a little bit. A fantasy book, the rise of Tomohiro Ishii.
Yeah. Yes, you just went out book Gato for the full rest of the year. Yeah, you just did that too.
So yeah, that's pretty much gonna wrap it up. Make sure you guys are rating and reviewing us on iTunes, Podbean, wherever you listen to us. Tell all your friends about the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Check out our friends at Powerslam.tv. Links in the annotation. You already know how it works. 4,000 hours. Use the code Social Suplex for your free month trial. Don't forget to go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Social Suplex. Pick up some Social Suplex gear, and also check out Patreon.com/OneNationRadio. The road to 173-0 is 7 episodes deep, so now you can put your $5 down. You can mow through about a half hour each, 25 minutes each of those episodes, and and hear the road essentially. So, anything else before we up out of here, James?
No, just check out the podcast on Thursday/Fridays. NXT Then Now Forever. We review NXT from that week and also do a retro review of NXT from 5 years ago that week. I'm always with a carousel, a Rolodex of different co-hosts to do the show with me, or I get stuck and I have to do it solo like I did 2 weeks ago. But
Solo James.
Yeah, that was a dandy, right? So yeah, like check out that show. And that's all I got.
And also Keeping It Strong Style on Tuesdays. Grown Men Watch This Shit. Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, and also All Things Elite.
What day is Keeping It Strong Style? You said Tuesday? You sure it's not Monday?
I'm gonna bet Tuesday it comes out.
Okay. All right, we'll see.
But yeah, that's it. We up out of here. Holla.
Later.
And also, cut the shit. Y'all know who y'all is.
Oh my god.